So Congress is pushing for universal background checks once again through prior bills that already have passed the House, those being H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think Congress needs to stop violating our rights to keep and bear arms, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. Also, I'm going to give a shout out to one of the main supporters of this channel, which is USCCA. Through your membership, you get training, education, and self-defense and liability protection. So if you carry a firearm, I highly recommend you take a look into USCCA, and I'll put a link to them down in the details section. So like I said in the intro, 49 members of Congress just sent a letter to Mitch McConnell pressuring him and his caucus to support gun control and to get H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446 finally passed through the Senate. For those of you who aren't aware, H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446 are not new bills at all. Both of these bills have been around for about a year, and both have already passed the House through a vote. H.R. 8, also known as the Bipartisan Background Checks Act, deals with universal background checks for all firearms transactions and sales. This bill, if passed, would require all firearms transactions, including private party transfers of firearms, to first go through an FFL. This is similar to how states like California and other liberal states have already kind of set up their scheme to require that all private party transfers to first go through an FFL or gun store. H.R. 1446, also known as the Enhanced Background Checks Act, seeks to extend out the NICS requirement from a 3-day period to a 10-day period from when the FBI must respond to a background check. Currently, if the FBI fails to respond within 3 days, a store can transfer a firearm, but this bill seeks to extend that period out to 10 days with the potential to even place an indefinite hold on those transfers. So both of these bills have already passed the House. They passed a House vote last year, and then they moved on to the Senate where they sat and where we thought they had died. Well, now we have some news that these bills are being resurrected, and there is a new call for a vote on them in the Senate. So let's read this letter that was sent out calling for these bills to kind of be rejuvenated and for there to finally be a vote on universal background check in the Senate. The letter reads, "Dear Minority Leader McConnell, we write urging you to rally your caucus to support common sense reforms that can directly stem the rise of gun violence we see in our communities across the country. As you know, the House passed the Bipartisan Background Checks Act of 2021, H.R. 8, and the Enhanced Background Checks Act, H.R. 1446, on March 11, 2021, and both were received by the Senate that day. These House-passed bills that would save lives have sat unmoved in the Senate for over a full calendar year. On the day of the House passage, Minority Leader Schumer publicly announced his support of H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446. They go on to say that gun violence is an epidemic of catastrophic proportions that is taking our loved ones, our youth, our neighbors, and our public servants. The U.S. gun death rate is 13 times greater than other high-income nations. By this time each year, more Americans are killed with guns than in other high-income nations in an entire year. We must address it through meaningful and holistic solutions that put the need of our constituents and communities first, and passing both H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446 are necessary steps towards that. As such, we implore you to marshal your caucus to support a floor vote in the Senate for common sense gun reform measures already passed in the House. The rise of gun violence during the pandemic is not unique nor limited to any particular community or geographic region, further underlying the urgency for federal legislative action. The prevalence of guns in more and more homes and communities has risen dangerously. 2020 and 2021 were record years for gun sales, totaling 22.8 million and 19.9 million respectively, easily dwarfing the previous record set in 2016 of 16.7 million. Ensuring complete background checks are conducted before a sale is finalized is made all the more difficult given the volume of sales. Gun sales at this level not only increase the likelihood of gun trafficking in states with more strict gun control policies, but it also coincides with a higher risk of violence everywhere. They state, for example, Lexington, Kentucky has seen 2 consecutive years of record number of homicides, overwhelmingly involving firearms, following the national trend with over 20,000 killed by gun violence in 2021. They go on to state you can take action now to put a stop to the spike in gun violence and loss by rallying your Republican colleagues to join Democrats in passing H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446. The danger presented by senseless gun violence and gun trafficking has also grown significantly during the pandemic, putting families and children in particular at risk. Amidst this boom in gun sales, nearly 30% of all firearms purchased in 2021 were made by first-time buyers, creating an estimated 5.4 million new gun owners in America. Historically, New gun owners are more likely to have more haphazard gun safety practices in their home, leading to harmful and deadly accidents. From March to December 2020, unintentional shooting deaths by children rose by 31%, with at least an additional 371 unintentional shootings by children in 2021. Moreover, the rise in first-time gun owners increases the likelihood of firearm theft and can contribute to spikes in violence. The ATF has cataloged nearly 14,800 guns between 2012 and 2018 recovered by local police in relation to a crime that were reported lost or stolen. This figure likely grossly underestimates the number of stolen guns in circulation and the threat they pose, with some research suggesting as many as 300,000 guns were stolen in 2020 alone. This unprecedented influx of guns illustrates the need to implement common sense gun reforms that will help keep our families and our communities healthy and safe. The House began the 107th Congress by passing H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446, both on a bipartisan basis. These bills would mandate universal background checks for nearly all gun transfers to limit unregistered access to firearms. Not only did H.R. 8 garner the support of the entire Democratic caucus, but it also was co-sponsored by and received yes votes from multiple Republicans, speaking to the shared recognition in the House of Representatives that common sense gun reform can help constituents in red and blue districts alike. H.R. 1446 similarly passed the House with bipartisan support. 84% of all voters supported mandating background checks for all gun purchases, and 77% of Republicans agreed, highlighting the broad appeal of a piece of legislation that would save lives and help protect our children. With this in mind, we urge you as the minority leader of the Senate to meet the majority leader Schumer and Senate Democrats across the aisle in partnership to vote on and pass H.R. 8 and H.R. 4046 in the Senate and send it to President Biden's desk for signature. Given how much is at stake, anything less than this would be a tragic, unacceptable obstruction to preventing gun violence and gun-related deaths. Thank you for your consideration, and we look forward to hearing from you. So that is the letter that 49 members of Congress sent to Mitch McConnell to try and get Republicans and him to get on board with a vote on universal background checks in the Senate. So although we thought that this issue had died, they are trying to get this started once again while everyone is distracted with other issues like our current economy and with the whole Ukraine issue. So I highly recommend you reach out to your representatives in the Senate and let them know that you oppose both H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446. Tell them you do not want these bills to be voted on. You don't want them to reach the Senate floor for a vote. And even if they do, by some chance they actually do reach a vote on the Senate floor, you want them to vote not in favor of passing this bill. You want them to vote against it. So if we get any more information on these, I will definitely let you guys know. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Algore's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. Again, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and to educate more people than I could have ever thought. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation is built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.